morning, everybody. I was on Dino Vidala's show this morning, so I had to pre-tape that for the first hour. But we will be starting our show as regular in just a moment. Hit the like, share the show, let everybody know we're here. Appreciate you.
Not good, Dom.
Important decision and
check. Be up in 1 minute, everybody. Hit that like, share the show. Super chat's always welcome, all that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. Right. Let's get in here, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Good morning. It's Hal Sparks Mornings, Megaworldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up for the show, etc., etc. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks, Infotainmentwars.com. Good to see you. Welcome. Hi. Crazy days. Lots of conflicting emotions and thoughts and people throwing stuff around, and I stand by everything that I've said in the last couple days, and I will continue to just do my best to to God and my country. I'll start quoting the the Boy Scouts motto. I hope everybody in the chat room, which is the greatest chat room in the history of the world, is with us. And then, of course, hold on one second. Got Sean Pierce waiting. He will be in. There we go. Hold on. There he is. Hold on one second.
Hello.
Welcome.
How you doing, Hal?
I'm good. Let me put you in the thing, and I'll bring you right in. This
Deal.
and
I know Jody's joining soon. We are obviously, as I think everybody is scrambling their asses off.
mm-hmm. She's going to be in another separate frame, as it were.
Cool.
On her own thing. Yeah. So hold on one second.
Did you see? I have not been able to confirm, but did you see the shot that it looks like the suspect was wearing like a Groiper costume?
Yeah, on sitting on Trump's shoulders or whatever. The idea.
Well, no. That was another one. That was 2017. This is a different one where he looked like he was mimicking a Pepe the Frog meme.
Yeah,
Pepe the Frog has basically been taken over by Groipers, and Groipers are basically.
Hold on, let me bring you in, and then we'll talk there. And because only the chat room hears you, they don't see you just yet. So give me 1 second, and I'll throw you in there. Oops, hold on.
Kill.
And because everybody can hear
it just
you in
kind
the
of freaked
background.
me out because I'm sitting there going, I can't get confirmation on it, but I'm sitting there going, if that's the case, it makes sense because Fuentes and Kirk they hated each other's guts.
Right. Yeah. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Everybody, welcome Sean Pierce.
Hello.
And like Jody Hamilton's podcast, Lesser Half, Better Half. I'll let them work it out.
Lesser half. She's always the better half.
It's very sweet. And thanks for having me on your show the other day. It was a great conversation. Unlike your show, you can feel free to swear if it happens, and in these circumstances, it's completely reasonable considering how fucked everything is. I gotta say, there's a couple of things, and I think the chat room could hear you in the background while we were discussing this as I was setting up to bring you in on the show. This this kind of automatic jump that they wanted to make to it's the left and it's Antifa and whatever. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I have always said that all shootings like this, political or personal or social or radicalized or whatever, all boil down to ego. All of them boil down to my opinion matters more than your existence. And you need to know my name, especially when it comes to political assassinations. Political assassins famously want to be known and survive because they do it for the attention in that regard. I would also argue that a good portion. There she is. There's Jody. And yeah, she's excellent. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna pop her in, and then we'll be ready to go. In all of this. Whoops! I'm hearing a little bit of loop back from you. I think Jody might be a speaker on or something.
No.
Okay.
Let's try it again.
I can
maybe
come back.
check.
Checkity check.
Yeah, we're okay. Hold on 1 second. I will. Okay. We'll get there. I'm not worried. Turn this on. There we go. There we go. Now I can get it.
Is that better?
We shall see. Hold on 1 second. Two guests.
Jody.
Ta-da! There they are.
Ugh. Oh God, I look horrible.
You do not. Simmer.
You do not. You look fine.
Yeah. So there might be a. Yeah. So I hear myself bubbling back through somebody's headphones. It's fun. Check. Chirpity chirp.
Are you just fine?
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll figure it out. I'm not too worried. It's not if it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother me. But there's ever so slight echo that's happening. Now, let's back up to where we were before Jody joined us, and we'll hunt down that possible Groiper shot of him, dressed as a Fuentes wannabe in in a costume, and him getting a piggyback from Donald Trump in another one.
Right.
And again, the idea that somebody is a political windshield wiper is not very strange because you just, people who chase power and ego oftentimes will go with whatever side seems to be winning or is more popular amongst their circle. Like, they're a political weather vane, but the goal is always me, 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 me. Kid raised by Republicans, grew up with guns his entire life, was a registered nonpartisan, so he wouldn't register. He's not a registered Democrat. That's upsetting them all. And then, something helped. Whatever you're doing, Jody, that helped.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, great.
Yes.
So obviously they've caught him. His name is Tyler Robinson. He's from Utah. Again, raised Republican parents. Very almost Charlie Kirk's perfect demographic, ironically enough. In a lot of ways. Utah white male raised by Republicans. Gun friendly in theory. And just decided, he was going to be on the other side of it for the time being to, take a life. So I don't put a lot of faith in his the depth of his belief either way. Nobody fights for universal health care and then shoots a stranger for talking about other topics.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? It just doesn't, that doesn't fit.
He seems to be very, very online.
Yes.
And they have some
like
weird
everybody else
twists,
that age these days.
Yeah, but in a certain some of the stuff that was supposedly painted, I guess, on the bullets or whatever is very online speak, very much, which of course goes to the whole idea that Trump and them got rid of all of we don't need people researching the online, we don't need them researching the internet,
right?
Nobody needs to know that. Really? Well, I guess we need to know that now, don't we?
Yeah. So for those that don't know the phrases, and I'll was if you can read this, you're gay, LMAO, which is again a sort of a Groyper right wing dig. It's like putting a bumper sticker on your car that says if you can read this, you're too gay, like that gag. Just to mess with people, just to be an edgelord, essentially. One of them is. Is sort of a meme about looking down and seeing that the girl you're making out with has an erection. This like the OWO, which is like, oh my God. By the way, it also there's a crisscross about what they meant by like oral without, meaning without a condom or without protection or those kind of things. So the OWO part of it. Mixes with that as well. So it's hard to read where they were going. I'm assuming it's the look down and, that part of it. Catch fascist was the one that they're like, aha, he's Antifa, right?
But the directions that go with that actually pertain to a specific game, and it's basically about throwing a bomb.
Yes.
So it's like catch.
Yes.
Which, whatever.
Right. And again, like, there's so much like insular inside joke bullshit amongst that as well that is a way of gaining cred online that it is so it's diminished by the seriousness of the circumstance. This is the kind of thing that somebody does before they've harmed someone and they've seen what their damage has actually done. This is why, by the way, a lot of school shooters, a lot of mass shooters kill themselves, is because they had this idea that it was going to be a game. People were just going to fall over, and that would be that, and it would be kind of a relatively clean or video game-like experience. And then when they see the sorrow that they've caused and they see someone leaking to death in front of them, which is what happens, when someone is shot, they switch off, and the realization makes them end themselves. I would argue that it's probably a similar thing to the Catholic school shooting recently. That's what they're trying to do. So, both your thoughts, and Jody, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on them, like finding this guy and the story that Kash Patel is trying to tell.
Well, I'm not believing anything out of Kash Patel's mouth ever.
Yeah.
So we need more information, I think, once this comes to fruition. So, I mean, it's just, I'm glad they caught him. And he's alive.
For the record, I'd like to be real clear. They didn't catch him. That's one of my biggest problems. No, he wasn't caught.
Well, his
he
family
was
turned him in, right?
he turned himself in with his parents. His parents and his
Mhm.
pastor, his father and his pastor drove him to the police station. They didn't
Right.
catch anybody, and they didn't like. One of the biggest problems I have is, and I don't know if people have seen the Kash Patel, like this North Korean style. Thank God for Trump and Pam Bondi, or without their direct help, we wouldn't have done what you wouldn't have
Please.
run out of options. Posted his picture, somebody spotted him, and he turned himself in. Like literally none of the amazing stuff the FBI has to do had anything to do with this. They scanned the cameras in the area where they knew he was. They narrowed it down. It's good. Like the locals did all this police work. And this is not denigrating the work of the FBI. I'm sure they threw everything they could at it, just making sure he didn't fly out of the country, making sure he didn't escape or whatever. They were helping to look for him because he could have been anywhere. But ultimately, what happened? They posted his picture on TV, and his pastor called his dad, and his dad and his pastor talked to him, and they arranged with a U.S. Marshal friend for him to turn himself in. So the fucking we caught him bullshit can sit the fuck down.
No, you're absolutely right. And his dad and him and everybody did the right thing.
Yep.
Making him turn himself in. They did the right thing. He did not do the right thing previously.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Well, and I also think this is a really concise, almost extremely, not almost about it, extremely dense look at Trump's half-fascism, which, that word that we mentioned to the other day, because it is. So starting from, there was a very qualified woman who was running the Salt Lake City FBI office, and they shit-canned her because, well, among other things, she was South Asian, so we can't have that. And a woman, we can't have that.
And a woman.
So yes, FBI might have been throwing everything they had, but everything they had wasn't everything they used to have, because they got rid of a number of people who actually knew what the hell they were doing. So we can start there. There was, of course, a lot of the showmanship. Let's fly in Air Force Two with VP Couch Vance, and fly that around, which no need for that. The bigger thing, what you're looking at, to me. So Trump last night was saying, God, what the hell did he say? Because we're still putting our show together.
Well, this morning, right? So this morning.
Last night he said we have to beat the hell out of the radical left lunatics, and then this morning goes on Fox and threatens the vicious radicals on the left.
Right.
And while we still don't know a lot about this particular guy, what we do know is conservative family, conservative guy. From what little we know, he didn't post. It seems like there's not as much online, but from what they can get, happens to seem to be a conservative person. So this guy is about as far from the left as you can imagine, and yet all of the right who've been screaming, well, we got to go after the left because the left is the ones who did this. And then, of course, there's all of the threats against the HBCUs, which is stupid, and threats against left-wing Congress people. And you're sitting there going, this is it's inflationist rhetoric from Trump and from all of the people who are on his side. And it's like, we didn't start this. We had nothing to do with this. This looks like, and this is stuff when you and I came in, when I came in today on into your wonderful show here, Hal, is that it's unverified, but it looks like the suspect may have also at one time he did dress in 2017 in a costume with Donald Trump, looked like where he was riding Donald Trump's shoulders.
Yes,
but there is another unconfirmed picture out there where it looks like he was dressed as a Groyper meme. And for your audience who may or may not know, Groypers are the group of right-wing nut jobs that follow Nick Fuentes, who is a particular corner of the fascist right-wing nut job world. And Nick Fuentes absolutely hated Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk hated Nick Fuentes. So the whole thing is MAGA on MAGA violence. And if you notice, as soon as some of this stuff started to percolate up into the mainstream media, the name of the suspect disappeared. The whole right-left thing, we found him. Oh, they're suddenly glossing over all of this because, by God, we can't have it be MAGA on MAGA and have this guy be coming from the right, even though, in fact, that looks like exactly what it is.
Right. So real quick, I think I think we're crossing the streams in terms of descriptions of this particular picture, if I may. Let me show you this. So this is, I think,
That's
what
one,
people are
right.
talking about. So this is one
Yeah.
of the pictures, and that the Trump is green in this situation. With his, signature look, but he's green. Therefore, a Pepe the Frog crisscross with Trump is possible in this conversation.
No, there's a whole other one. If your producers look, it's in my thread from Blue Sky. You
My
can look, 'cause there was
producers,
one-
you're adorable. You mean me?
That's like us.
Yeah. The I'm
I
sure.
know,
Yeah.
I
So
know.
yeah, but that is. He was riding around a green-faced Donald Trump like a horse. That was, his little.
That's
thing.
one, but there's a second one where he's actually in a black sweatshirt, crouching on the ground, mimicking a Pepe the Frog meme, where Pepe actually does that. Now he doesn't have
Right.
his face be green, but he's dressed it the same way that this Pepe the Frog one did. And you look and you go, oh, wait a minute. And that to me says, immediately I looked at people who are very smart on online sources, and they went, that Pepe the Frog meme goes to the Groypers. And immediately you say, oh, Groypers, that's Nick Fuentes, and Nick Fuentes
Right.
hated Charlie Kirk. And then you have the tie over, and you go, well, that's MAGA
Right.
on
So
MAGA
that
violence.
would be this picture.
That
then.
one.
Right.
Bingo.
So
Yeah.
this is and what people are associating this with is that
Right.
he's
Bingo.
dressed up like, and that's the Pepe the Frog. Image right there. And so he was at the very least cosplaying these things.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween, handing out candy alone as these weirdos ditch me. Tyler is some guy from a meme. Austin is the crazy end of the world homeless guy, and Logan is a fancy skeleton. So these are the three sons that they have together. So he dressed up as which I would argue was partly Adidas is not right wing. No, it's the fact that he's wearing the cap as well, or the hoodie, whatever. Like, this is the idea that he got and I think it's even like the similar shoes or whatever. One of the things about a Halloween costume like this, which any kid will tell you, is that sometimes you want to dress up like a cowboy because you really want a duster that you can wear all the time. So your mom buys you a long cowboy coat for your Halloween costume, and then you can wear it to school all the time, right? You wear it because you want the clothes. And so beyond this just being him imitating Pepe, this could also be him wanting to dress like Pepe at school amongst other groypers and other stuff, to have that same outfit. So I think that's why.
I mean, it's a message, right? And it sends a message of, this is the people that I'm with, just like, clothes in school always do for kids, or often do, unless you're wearing uniforms. But it sends that message, which to me says, okay, well, message of what? What is the message that it's sending? And the message that normally something like that would send is, I'm a groyper, which means I'm a follower of Nick Fuentes, who hated Charlie Kirk.
Right.
And then you go, oh, well, now I understand why he hated him.
Right.
But it's right on right violence, as opposed to what Trump and the other MAGA people are saying, which is, oh, it's all the left. It's like, no, sweet cheeks, this is all on you.
Well,
you did this to
like the two shooters, arguably, you got a direct Trump voter, who never got a shot off, by the way, who's on trial this week in Florida, and the other one who died was clearly upset because Trump wasn't going to be as far right as he wanted to. And Alex Jones had maybe a month before, which would lead directly to Crooks climbing up on that rooftop and taking a shot at Trump, saying, he's an imperfect candidate. He might lose. This was when Biden was still running. He might lose. And so maybe if something did happen to him, it might be better for the movement, because somebody will step up and they'll eulogize him properly and become the new leader of the movement. This is also I think, J.D. Vance, when Alex Jones was saying this as well. So so the idea is that Crooks saw that and went, I'll be the guy to save the true MAGA movement by killing him, making him a martyr. I'll die that day, but he'll become, somebody else will replace him, and the movement will live on. Right. So Routh being the guy who, was going to shoot at him on the golf course. By the way, he was golfing with who? Steve Witkoff, ladies and gentlemen. which should tell you a lot. At his shitty golf course in the pathway of every airplane dumping its bilge on its way overseas from Palm Beach. Like, it is the worst place for a golf course. You notice, remember when Trump was doing those outside press conferences for about a week after the raid, because he wanted to show the door where the FBI agents had come in through that door, so he wanted to stand in front of it. Everybody was telling us, like, stand in front of it so it looks like the door to your home, which is just fucking ridiculous because it looks like a hotel lobby, because that's what it is. And you could barely hear it because there's planes going on over. Imagine playing golf in that shit. He buys these cheap shit properties and then basically turns them into like compromat and facilities for fucking underage girls. And that's why you go there. It certainly isn't for the course. It isn't certainly for the accommodations or the fucking omelet bar. It's for the 16-year-old that's working in the spa.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. There's one other tie back to the shootings there, Hal. The multiple news organizations came out with everything from the Colorado Sun to the New York Times said the Colorado high school shooter was also radicalized by right-wing hate speech, embraced Columbine, anti-Semitism, and white supremacism. So the last two school shootings, 46 and 47 of this year, both tie back to right-wing nut jobs and right-wing propaganda.
Well, the Catholic school shooting, school shooting, interestingly enough, even though it was, they made a lot of noise about it being the person being trans-identifying, in their recent writings, they were basically detransitioning or talking about how they wish they could detransition, that their social attachment to that was so strong, and it was wrong for them, and they wanted to undo it, but they thought it would make them look weak or like they'd be a loser or whatever. Like, it was so fucking all over the map, obviously mentally ill, beyond everything else, but still, like, not where, like, this is my true identity and the Catholic Church is trying to destroy my true identity, therefore, 1 + 1 = 2 in terms of my political machinations. It was just flailing at the world from an ailing brain overrun with self-assured mania.
You're not wrong. I mean, all of these people have had mental illness, but that's only one part of it.
Yeah.
And that's,
right. Well, I would argue in this case, this guy, I mean, we don't know much about him or whatever, but if you can plan, this goes to serial killers and the like, if you can plan all that kind of stuff, even if you have compulsive behavior that makes you want to do it, the practical part of carrying it out and getting away with it is a very sane act. It takes the material function of recognizing you are doing wrong. If they catch you, you won't get to keep doing wrong, and you like doing wrong because doing wrong is how you get your needs met. So, tiptoe, get rid of the body, remove the fingers and the eyelids and any, aftermarket parts. You can dispose of them separately so they never put it together. And like, once you start into that part of it, that's sanity. It's grotesque, it's evil, but it's not based on, this kind of like compulsion, like where you think of like the kind of insanity you can medicalize and write off as like, this dude went down the street stabbing people and screaming. That's clearly different than somebody who's like, she's cute. I'd like to strangle her. Right? That is a wholly different thing.
That's a whole different thing.
Or even the guy on the train who stabbed the Ukrainian refugee. That guy, said, "I got that white girl," right after he stabbed her with his knife. That is a combination of mania caused by whatever the fuck, mixed with a grind that goes on the rest of the time that is logical. He was able to pay his fare and get on the train and dress himself and take a shower and all these other things they managed to do. So that's sanity to me. You're able to like operate in this world. And then the compulsive part of it, was it drugs? Was it a combination of mental illness and drugs? Was it a mental illness exacerbated by drugs, or he was off his meds and it came back? That there's a myriad of those kind of things. Those are the things we as society can solve. But and mental illness, I think, has been used as a patchwork over anything that we just find disgusting or evil in society. It is, it's like when people who are, spiritual say the universe instead of God. They mean the exact same thing. You know what I mean? They're just they're uncomfortable with the word God, so that as a placeholder they use universe. because it works better in their social circle and it sounds more modern, but it's the same idea.
Right.
And the same thing is here, like
some heavy talk about all of this, Hal, and you know, just to help out maybe a little bit. So over at the Politics Bar, Jody and I have been talking, obviously this week, like you have here, like everybody's has been, obviously about the shootings. Something that has been a tool that I've used because obviously, you know, I used to work with Randy Rhodes. I used to work with Stephanie Miller. Jody and I have sat in the same chair at Stephanie's house. Well, not literally, but anyway. So over at the Politics Bar, one of the things that we brought in this week is a little piece that I used to have from Randy's show called The 5 Components of Gun Violence. And it really helps oftentimes with discussions about whenever these things happen to kind of narrow the scope and pull the discussion into something that's a little bit more helpful, I think. The five components, and I'll just run it down. They are ineffective gun safety laws, suboptimal mental health care systems, corrupt lobbying and political finance systems, questionable media ethics, and poverty and inequality. And when you pull it into that frame, anytime somebody says, oh, well, you know, it's just mental health care, you say, okay, fine. But if you're going to tackle the mental health care part of it, you also have to tackle the gun issue. And then you have to tackle the
if crazy people can get guns, obviously your system is inadequate to the circumstance if you're saying mental health is the problem and crazy people can still get guns. Like that you can there are ways to make someone's argument eat itself in those moments in a way that they may not realize is patently obvious to everyone else.
But there are, I mean, for example, the people who are saying, oh, well, it's just the online stuff. Same like they used to say, oh, it's the video games. You say, okay, well, who was allowing these kinds of things? What? And you go, oh, well, then it goes into the media ethics and it goes into the campaign finance. And it goes into the things like some of these people who are doing this, who are doing the shooting thing. Like you said earlier, they're doing it for the attention. But it's also the media, the way that the Wall Street Journal took that comment, that anti-LGBTQ comment, and made it an anti-trans comment. The Wall Street Journal, who has a real obligation to doing journalism correctly, they now have an obligation to apologize to the transgender community throughout the U.S. because they really blew that one.
They did.
But part of the reason people say, well, why would they do it? They do it because you got a problem with media ethics, and they do it because they want the attention, and they want the attention because that's part of how the money goes, and then the money goes into the politics, and there you've got that set up, right? People go, oh, crap. I go, all of this is tied together. If you don't hit all 5 of these, you're not dealing with the problem.
Right. Well, this is, you know, I make this point about homelessness in the country or whatever, because people talk about the homeless like they're a tribe. Like it's like the homeless are actually a group and they all are there for the same reason. Like they're, I don't know, Buddhists or,
Packers fans.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly. Like they all just wear the right jersey and they're all assigned to this one stadium and they're all there for the same reason. They want to see the Packers beat the Buddhists. And who doesn't?
Really?
Finally,
yeah, exactly. Who doesn't?
I mean, when is that curse going to be broken? So, but in all honesty, there are. I mean, I think the 3 categories in the way that you have like that kind of 5 category structure in
the 5
dealing
components
with
of gun violence. Yeah,
yeah. There's 3 in.
It always helps.
There's 3 in homelessness.
When we would talk about on Randy's show, it always helped.
Yeah. So there's 3 in homelessness: mental illness, people falling through the cracks and just, having, life sweep the leg, and drugs and alcohol addiction. And sometimes there's overlap. There's drugs and alcohol addiction that causes mental illness. There's drugs and alcohol addiction that cause people to fall through the cracks and not be able to scramble back. And then there's mental illness that causes people to fall through the cracks. And there's mental illness that causes people to self-medicate. And so because there's crisscross in a bunch of these areas, but not with everyone, it becomes like we're talking about they all wear the same hat, and that means we can solve it the same way. We can, we need to fix homelessness. Well, you're not going to do it with one thing. You're never going to do it with affordable housing, for example, because people who can barely walk across the street without being hit by a car because they are screaming at bats that are flying in the sky that don't exist aren't going to be able to
They can't
pay
keep a
rent
job.
ever. So we have a
Right.
responsibility as a society to take care of those people. People who are temporarily in that space because they are addicted, which I would argue is a temporary or partial form of mental illness that can be remedied through therapy, medication, hope. You know, there's a myriad, whatever the person, it's tailored to the human being. And then there are people, quite frankly, the factory shut the fuck down and they thought they could hang on, and the city, hoping to make sure that people who lost their job at the factory could hang on a little longer, gave everybody a stipend, and then the stipend ran out, and then the eviction started, and then they ended up sleeping in their car. That's not, you don't handle that the same way you handle someone who is barking at stop signs. And if you and the problem is on the right, that's what they think. On the right, they think that everybody's a drug addict. The mentally ill are there because they did drugs, not because they were born schizophrenic or whatever. They have to deal with these things, and they've been rejected by their families or fallen through the ground. And they think that everybody is lazy, starts doing drugs, and it's all moral failures on their part that make them end up homeless. Instead of there, but for the grace of God go I, they're like, never going to happen to me. Those guys are losers, and I'm not paying for losers. That's how they view it. On our side, we have, in many ways, looked so much to, and this is a mix of us trying to like legalize weed and doing stuff to try and balance the imbalance in, you know, in sentencing and that kind of stuff, that we have looked past the damage that addiction can do. We accept addicts on our side very easily, but we don't remedy the addiction for people who have fallen through the cracks. You know, we don't make sure there are 12-step programs or, you know, those kind of things. We're like, we've made Narcan available. I think that's wonderful. But that's the answer in Portland. Not, you know, we're going to guarantee that there are meetings and medication and methadone and whatever they're, you know, the best science is to help people beat addiction. The assumption is, well, everybody's got the right to be an addict. And if they want to live on the street because they'd rather, you know, do drugs than fit into your stupid fucking society, then just walk around them, person in wheelchair who has no choice. So on our side, I think the middle of this situation, the conversation where we have to compromise about these things, and this goes to the gun point, and I'll have you guys address this together or separately, is that if you ever pick one part of it and you go, this is the primary, when there's statistically no evidence that that's what's going on, trans shooters being one. Trans people are 0.05% of the population. They are 0.35% of the mass shootings in any given year. They've been 7 of them in the last year that were by people who were trans or trans identifying, which again, the rules are so loose that somebody can call themselves trans after the fact and blame it on somebody else, even if they're just continuing their terror. I'm going to continue to make people think, you know, attack people by calling myself trans. That happened in England. So there's no legit way to stand it. But 7 of the 4,900 that we've had, you know, 7 of them have been trans people, but they're 0.05% of the population and 0.35% of the numbers. So statistically, per capita, they are more likely than somebody else. But that likeliness is so far close to zero that it's a stupid fucking conversation if we're not going to deal with the greater problem, which is the flood of guns and the fact that anybody who's got a gripe can get one.
And then you go, okay, well, why do we have a flood of guns? We have a flood of guns because we have all of the gun lobbyists who have flooded all of that. And then you go, well, crap. And then you've got the right-wing media, which is in part held up by the gun lobbyists who, you know, all the NRA dollars there. And you, that's why you hit all of those 5 is when you add all of those up, you go, if you put all of that in line, you know, let's get the financing. Let's get the money out of politics. Take care of that. Let's make sure that everybody who actually calls themselves news has to subscribe to actual ethics, actual standards. And if you don't, fine. Doesn't mean you can't publish. Just
can't call yourself news.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, it pulls things significantly into a more narrow. And then you go, okay. And then the people say, well, shit, in that world, yeah, we can get rid of, you know, like the assault weapons, and we can make sure that anybody who has a gun is trained on it and is not some nut. And if they have a mental thing, we can immediately flag them and say, hey, go see your doctor. And, you know, if you get a doctor's note that says you're temporarily crazy right now, here's a public locker, $5 a month. You can store your guns there, and when you get a clean bill of health,
we used to have that. Can I just say for the record, and like everybody that bitches about bureaucracy or, having stuff in triplicate or any of that kind of stuff. We didn't used to have bureaucracy around stuff. And you know what happened? People died. Shit happened.
Right.
There was a reason why most cities, once guns became a thing, most towns, either, in the Old West, you had to turn in your guns at the sheriff's office when you were in town. Because if you were going to drink and whore around town and stuff, better you pick a fist fight than a gunfight. So leave your fucking gun at the sheriff's office. You could pick it up on your way out of town. And in Kentucky, when I grew up in Peaks Mill, in Frankfort, which is the capital, for those that haven't been paying attention, by the way, one of the two oldest jokes about Kentucky, one being, how do you pronounce the capital of Kentucky, Louisville or Louisville? It's Frankfort, and which people in Kentucky by and large don't understand as a joke. And then and the other one is, of course, I have a friend who smuggled books into Kentucky, but he got off on a technicality because nobody could prove they were books. Right? Those are the two primary jokes of my hometown and my home state. But downtown in Frankfort, Kentucky, beautiful, quaint downtown. I love downtown Frankfort. It's terrific. There is an armory right across from what would be the bank building, which used to be the old government building before they built the big Capitol. There is an armory. It's an old Gothic building, cobblestones around it and all this stuff. And what was it for? It was for everybody in the Frankfurt area to store their guns.
Right. Yep.
And everybody could have a shotgun or a rifle at their house, but any gun bigger than that or your second gun, you left in town. And you left it under lock and key in case a war broke out or the British tried to re-seize the fucking place.
Right.
Yeah. So we've been
crazy
here before, and then we
rules
dropped it.
that
We
we
forgot
have
how much it worked.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Kind of like vaccines. Oh God, Jody, the thing you sent me earlier today about that poor kid in California.
Yeah.
Which
So we'll talk about that too. Well, you want to tell him, Jody? You sent me the story.
God, it was so many hours ago.
Right, and so much has happened since.
Well, and that is
3
one of the
hours
things.
ago. I think I sent it.
The
to you.
news goes so fast these days, but it's one of the things we try to do at the Politics Bar is kind of make it an oasis, a place for everybody to sit and chat and hang out, a community. I mean, obviously, it is different than House Parks Megaworldwide, which is a completely awesome and fantastic community of its own.
Mm-hmm.
But for our community, it's more of a thing where we try to organize the news. You've had your day, it's been busy as hell, you don't know what the fuck's going on, you're like, fuck, I want to turn on the news but not have it be like this flood of shit. I just want somebody to kind of organize it and talk. And so
was
we
it
do.
the thing about the kid that died from measles?
You got it. That's the one.
Yeah. The county health department said the death is a painful reminder of how dangerous measles can be. I mean, this kid died of a rare complication from measles years after being infected with the virus. So the kid got it and still died from it years later.
And they got it before they were vaccinated.
Exactly.
So all the people who say, "Oh, well, vaccinations," that they don't think that vaccinations have to work now because we're all safe. See, everything's fine. Well, yes, we're safe because of vaccinations. Here's a case where this kid got measles before they were old enough to be vaccinated. They recovered, but because of the way measles works, years later, they still died because when they got sick at first, they were unvaccinated.
Right.
I know. I mean, I
it's
just got my booster.
Right, and it's just like
I'm glad you did.
Like shingles after chickenpox,
Right.
and how that's become, been on the rise, and that can, most people, it's painful. I've had it. I've got scars from it, and I have friends who've had it, who got it on their face or something like that. It can be pretty terrible, and so I recommend getting vaccinated for it. I was lucky; it was just on my side here, But you have chickenpox, which I had when I was a kid. I had a bunch of things because it was the South, and there was I was vaccinated as much as you could be when I was a kid. Had there been more vaccines for other stuff, I would have gotten them. I got scarlet fever really bad when I was a kid, and my face swelled up like a balloon. And so you have to watch out for those kind of things in your life because you've got somebody swept the leg early when you were a kid. Right.
Right.
So but right now there's just this kind of, what I was going to say is that RFK Jr. and his ilk are so fucking dumb that they think the reason why people aren't catching a lot of these diseases or haven't for a long time is because they're, when they haven't been vaccinated themselves, is because it's not a thing, as opposed to they are piggybacking on the vaccination of the people around them. Because especially in diseases like chickenpox or measles and that kind of stuff, it's spread through the air, but it's also spread through sores and contact. And if you don't get it to where you break out, there are fewer cases because people don't come in contact with you and then spread it via contact. So you seize that contact point, which is what we were trying to do during COVID, because they knew it would spread and it was mutating so fast that you wanted to keep people out of the hospital. That's what the mRNA vaccines did, but you could still spread it, so everybody needed to stay home for a while until you pass through this window. Well, the problem was this cascading window leapfrog 7 days to 7 days to 7 days, so that if anybody breaks out and starts shaking hands with people, they could start another 7-day cycle. And you're like, oh, fuck, we have to do this. So that's why 14 days to slow the spread. That's why they did it twice as long as you'd think the regular respiratory virus window would be for for immunity. 7 days times 2. This is it's Trump math. It's the dumbest shit ever. But the problem is they weren't. It was their followers that didn't believe it. Like, of all fucking people, they should have been able to jump in and go, well, Trump's saying it, so I believe it. If it was fucking Hillary Clinton, fuck her. But it's my dude. And still, these motherfuckers, they just could not bring themselves to recognize the threat, and they're not going to now. So they're piggybacking on everybody else's immunity for the time being. And then that wears out after a while. There are new kids born all the time. Those kids aren't vaccinated in that neighborhood, and all of a sudden, because nobody's vaccinated, everybody starts catching it again because it only takes one, and then and then you're damaging people for decades. And maybe that's the point. Let's be completely honest. There is in the Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance world, there's a bunch of eugenicists in there. Active eugenicists. I think Peter Thiel is an active eugenicist. He believes in culling the herd in the way that everybody talks about. Bill Gates wants to depopulate the world. Peter Thiel says he does. When asked if he's the Antichrist, he hedges. Maybe. And they're also passive eugenicists in a big way. Well, you can't save everybody. I would argue that's what the slow roll on fentanyl was during the first Trump administration. You got an annoying cousin or uncle who's a drug addict, who's always borrowing money and all this kind of stuff. You punt this a couple of weeks, he might just die, and then it's over with. He manages to live through heroin, I don't know how. Crack and meth, they're smoking it up right, but fentanyl kills these motherfuckers. Maybe we should just stand back and wait for it to happen. And that's exactly what happened.
That's their mentality,
Once it got to the upper class, mid-level rich kids, that's when they started to flip out. When it started showing up as fake Adderall and pill parties at college campuses, and you had that room full of kids all died because they ate fentanyl, that's when everybody started giving a fuck on the right. Up till that point, addiction deaths were something that happened to the people that was going to happen to eventually anyways. Why are we saving these people? Again, it's Democrats that bring you Narcan and want it everywhere, just because you never know when it's going to happen around, and make sure that we have that in case somebody goes down. It's Republicans who are like, why are we wasting money on these people? They're going to die anyways. What use are they?
We always point out that there's the coalition of the sane. I think John Fugelsang called it. Was that it, Jody? Something like that. The coalition of the good, like that, the anti-evil people, something like that. And all of those people have the same thing in common, and all of the Trump diehard maggots have the same thing in common, which is we have empathy and they don't.
Exactly.
Well, and they, on the one hand, empathy is something that has to be cultivated, because I've told everybody, if you're a true believer on something, it's largely because you were born into the right family, because you might have the genes to be a true believer, but the topic that you're a true believer on is variable to the environment. The nature versus nurture thing is that if you got passion can be nature, but the target of your passion is nurture. And that's, that's one of the things, this kid grew up borderline Jesus camp and may have decided that he was, Antifa now and killed him, but it's the same sort of mentality. It's just a different target. If he'd have been on that side, he'd be he would, he's the kind of person who would have killed MLK in that regard, because it's just a matter of how you were raised and what was popular in your circle at the time, which is why I always have everybody tap the brakes that if they think they're on the right side of an act of violence, because you only think that because of the side that you're on. And if you were born or raised in the other part, we talk about lived experience all the time in our circles on the left, and yet you don't recognize that the Charlie Kirk is a result of his lived experience, right? He's
True.
telling you from his lived experience. He's his habitual neo-fascist, borderline neocon,
I was hearing. I
Christic.
heard something. I haven't verified it, but I heard something that Charlie Kirk, I guess,
Ayn Rand
went to
stuff?
a school that used to be I guess the school used to be majority white, and then they changed it, and it was like majority black, majority minority, and obviously, I mean, Charlie Kirk is kind of a racist, and you go, oh hey, okay, I see how that happened.
So did it happen organically then?
That I haven't entirely looked into it. Most of the time when I see monsters like Charlie Kirk or Nick Fuentes or whatever, I group them all into this is a pile of assholes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I used to have a joke that my dad was an asshole connoisseur just because of the laugh that I would get from saying asshole connoisseur. But it's because he was always asking the ever important question, what kind of an asshole? Right. Insert annoying thing here. Right. And in the case of,
Well, I don't look. I'm like, look, if you want to be an asshole like that, and you have a very small sphere of influence, okay, I'm fine. I mean, this is the United States. You want to drive, be a KKK person and dress in your white hood or whatever. I mean, I think you're a jackass, but this is the U.S. As long as you don't try to put your hatred into laws, I'm fine with that, because we've tried to.
Yeah, but there's no such thing as that. I mean, again, it's not about them. Just don't put your hate into laws is never going to work, because whatever that imbalance that I'm talking about, where the true believers, the people who are who vote at every primary, but don't show up in the generals. That crowd, the crust that thinks they're the pizza, which is my fixation lately on the analogy.
Yes, you said that lately.
Yeah, these fuckers. That believing that about yourself, that you're never going to stop at that. I've always said that, like, religious orthodoxy, and this includes what I would call orthodox atheists, as opposed to like live and let live atheists. It's the same problem. Is that you feel like you have to put it into law. Your monarchical or monotheistic view of how things should run must be legitimized in law. It must be codified in law for other people, because you don't like how they're living, what they're doing, what they're saying, or how they're behaving. Or you think you can curtail a behavior they do through your system, and they've got to be made to do it, right? And so anybody who's passionate about politics or passionate about a social movement is eventually going to want a law of some sort passed to make it easier or safer or better or possible, right? Because they could say the same thing you just said about gay marriage. They could say the same thing you could say about gay adoption. They could say the same thing about trans issues, like, okay, you can do whatever you want if you're an adult, but the minute you try to medicalize the trans experience for kids, that's where, you're trying to legalize your ideology. That's how they talk about it. And we talk about other things the same way, when in reality
we talk about science and fact.
Well, sure. But I mean, like, they would argue the same thing in some of those cases. And that's why I said, like, the religious and the atheistic crowd. It doesn't quite matter. If you're passionate about what you believe, I will at some point try to form legislation around my beliefs, because I think it's the right way to go. And so it only stands to reason that the most extreme, the most violent, will want that too. And they will use the mechanisms that the sane people do to create normal laws, like infrastructure bills and public schools, to implement those kind of laws. That's what Trump is trying to do right now, which is like weasel the law so that gerrymandering will help give him the election next year, because he knows he's going to lose on the margins. And on our end, we're doing kind of the same thing about some of these conversations in saying that somebody, if they want to try to legislate it, we have to be able to convince them they're wrong. And that's why free speech has value. If you know what I mean? And I always see these things as a test of our rhetorical ability. Are we cultivating a bunch of people who can yell, who can, preach to the choir, or are we captivating people with a better vision? These are broad strokes, but that's got to be our job, even to the ignorant, if not the opposite.
Right.
And of course, I'm going to try to, legislate. Eventually, I would like the United States under the concept of democratic taxation, meaning taxation with representation, that we all decide at some point that a baseline of healthcare, like a baseline of education, like a baseline of public safety, like a baseline of having a military, is a right of the citizenry for the pursuit of happiness. You can't pursue happiness if you're always worried about stubbing your toe. It becomes an infection where you lose your fucking foot and then everybody's ahead of you in the race. So I would argue there should be public school and private school, and there should be public health insurance and private health insurance. And if you want to and can and have the means and wherewithal to augment whatever and have it cover fucking teeth caps and tit jobs and fucking extending your legs and making you taller, knock yourself out. You can put that in. But the baseline part where you find yourself on the downslope of cancer because you had no idea that the coal company was dumping shit in the water upstream in West Virginia and you just happened to live in northern Tennessee, then that shouldn't be on your fucking back, right? Yeah. So I feel like I can make that argument as a citizen of the United States across the board to right wing and left wing folks alike, and it is only the crust that can't sort of figure that out. And I feel like we spend a lot of time preaching to the crust, to cross the metaphors.
No, makes sense.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, that is the baseline, is just let's take care of each other.
Yes.
Right.
How do we do it best? And I'm willing to have the conversation with people. And if they're going, I think you help people best by, forcing everyone to exercise. I'm like, well, make that fucking happen, commie. Because I don't see it happening. And I know there can be mitigatory things about, like, if you have lifestyle diseases because you just refuse to take care of yourself, you can't hang that shingle on every other American. You might have to wait a little while in line, but that's so, nobody wants to live like that if they have options. Nobody wants to be like, I got a great idea. I'll just be sick all the time. I'll get like septic feet from diabetes, and then the system will pay for my fucking cat food. Nobody fucking wants that. They might find themselves where that's a better option, and where their ego allows them to, to go, look what I did to work the system. And in that situation, that person is no different than Donald Trump, who doesn't pay fucking taxes, gets his money from fucking Russia through sketchy ass banks and people like Jeffrey Epstein, and then and then goes, I'm a winner. I worked the system. Same fucking people. Donald Trump is a welfare queen in the classic 80s sense.
Totally.
Yes. He just significantly more wealthy, but no different.
I don't know. I don't know, because like right now, yes, he's got all that crypto and he owns a bunch of stock, but the minute he starts selling it, all of those things start to crater. It's his own fucking. Right. This is how fucking dumb he is. And Eric and Don have worked this around, I'm sure. But like Bitcoin is one thing, but your own meme coin is another. Yeah. And owning 80% of your meme coin and having basically people throw you bribe money through that is cool if you can buy and sell things with your meme coin, which you can't. You got to convert it into something else, US dollars or Bitcoin or something like that. And you have to be able to find somebody who will trade your shitty meme coin for that thing in mass. And if you do, without it being just straight up fucking money laundering, which is largely what they're counting on, it's going to drop the price of it the minute you start selling it. It's just going to fucking crater. The minute he starts selling his meme coin to takes $1 billion out of it, of the 12 he's made because of the meme coin, he'll take $1 billion, and then the other 11 billion will be worth $900,000 like that. And everybody who bought in on it, who isn't a Saudi prince who was just bribing him straight across the barrel, is fucked and will want his head. So that's a crucial part of this that I don't think, like, Larry Ellis became the richest man in the world this week.
Yes,
Yes, he did.
unfortunately.
For like an hour or two or something like that.
Well,
Because I
you
think
know-
Elon just beat him like at the end of closing yesterday.
Well, yeah, the
Yeah.
idea is that Ellis's stock went up 101 billion and then it bounced back down. But then
Right.
and Elon Musk's had gone down 49 billion, and then it came back up a little bit. Point being is that
Yeah.
neither one, all of them own, this money, and at some point, in theory, they could Bill Gates their way out of it. What you do is you
Yes.
take a bunch of it and you go, I'm retiring. You can only do it when you're really old without making everybody think the company is collapsing. I'm going to sell a bunch of
Right.
it. I'm going to give some of it away. I'm going to keep a holding stake in it or whatever, so everybody knows I still believe in the company, but I'm going to sell these stocks online once they've reached a certain point, and I'm going to eke them out over time. Because if you try to do it too quickly, everybody thinks, yeah, he's bullshitting. The company's shutting down. He's fucking ditching everything. And when you
Cutting
own
and
that,
running.
yes, and when you own that much of it, and when you own as much of the Tesla stock, for example, or the Oracle stock as Ellison does, or and same thing with Elon Musk, you own a lot of it, and your wealth is predicated on a lot of it. Every move you make lowers that amount by half. Now, do they have more money than they could ever spend, even if they rug pull every fucking buddy in the world? Abso-fucking-lutely. However, it does mean that the cascading economic impact will be on their back forever, and that money won't buy them, a grateful handshake anywhere on the fucking planet. It's why effectively Vladimir Putin's been laundering money through people like Donald Trump for years to hide the fact that he's stole $200 billion from the Russian people. And it's got to be in property and shit hidden, and you got to own a fucking submarine. You sell to the cartels, and then they buy it back, from you at one point, and or you buy back from them at one point and sell it to somebody else, and it's really a leasing fee, and it's like holding an illegal submarine.
It's complicated shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but they can't just go, I want my money. The way you could technically, it's hard to do, but you could go to the bank, most people, even if they were a millionaire, and go, I would like all of my money, please. And it might take a little while. It might take them a week. People might bitch. The bank might go, well, we've got to charge you a fee for all this cash. But you could do it. You could kind of do it. Most people.
Yeah.
Because the minute you do it, the value of the bank doesn't drop unless there's hundreds of you doing it at the same time.
The thing I'm worried about when it comes to Ellison is this new thing that this jackass wants to do, the Skydance Paramount thing. Now he says that they want to take over Warner Brothers Discovery. Before Warner Brothers and Discovery even split again, he wants to go in and buy the whole thing.
Right.
Which I'm like, okay. And at the same time, his dipshit son says, let's put Barry Weiss, who is just a complete idiot, in charge of CBS News, which pretty much would mean that CBS News would be completely worthless and nobody should trust it. So if that actually ends up happening, yes, that's what you should do. But then CBS and CNN would be under the same thing. And it would be like, look, that's why I said there needs to be rules. I would prefer them to be industry rules as far as, not having a government, because you don't want the government in charge of that. But I would prefer that there be industry rules, because right now you got a bunch of people effectively selling oranges, and they're not oranges. They're, balls of dog shit wrapped in orange peels.
Yep.
But
enough
I'm
about
selling
Donald
it as
Trump.
an orange. It's true. That's Trump. That describes Trump real
pretty
well.
much nailed it.
That's what they're doing with news. Is they call it news. Your Newsmax, your OANN. That is dog shit wrapped in an orange shell. It ain't no goddamn orange.
Well,
but they're allowed to call it an orange.
Well,
and
this started in like CNN called themselves the most trusted name in news. And the reason they did this was because they're poll after poll for a period of time, about a decade and a half. That was the fact. Like, they beat out at one point and it wasn't, by the way, the most trusted name in news because the stories turned out to be right. What it was in the polling was when news is breaking, people went to the best known all 24-hour news channel that was on, whether it was a fucking car chase or something like that. They didn't trust what they were getting. They trusted they could get the information because it was on all the time. It's an amazing play on the word trust, right? But
Right.
They were able to say it because it was materially true based on that statement. And they could even have a little asterisk that showed on that thing when they would call themselves back in the day. They would just call themselves that and say, because da 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 da. And it would have because they were kind of viewing themselves as a legit news source and acting like it, they would reference chosen by most people, the same way you do with a car company, the safest car in the country, or favorite car of consumers or whatever, because consumer electronics did a test on a laptop. That's how you know, because somebody else told them.
Favorite car of consumers who would rather not be walking. Right.
Yes, exactly. Right. Whereas Fox decided to do an end run around that. How did they do it? Fair and balanced TM. They trademarked fair and balanced. Now, you know what the best thing about a trademark is? It doesn't have to be true. It can
Very true.
You may not deserve a break today, you lazy fuck. But McDonald's says you do, so that's that. And all all the companies. Coke is not life. I'm sorry. If you have a person who's lying on the ground and they have expired, pouring Coke into them will not revive them, no matter how much the direct translation of the Coke ads that they ran in, I think it was Japan or Korea, where they did a direct translation of one of the ad campaigns, and they ended up with billboards all over South Korea that said, Diet Coke, it brings your ancestors back from the dead. True story. Because it was a direct yes, it was because it was a Coke is life, like family. Their whole thing was like family, friends, loved ones. Coke is life. Like that's how they did it. And when they put those things together,
friends, children, bring your granny back.
Yes, right. The last person mentioned, if they're dead, Coke will bring them back to life so they can see all the others. That's how the sentence structure, right? So, right. Yes, that's what generation means in Chinese. That's exactly right. So it's the same characters too, the same kanji. So that's how they got around it. It's a trademark. So it's the same way where every drug, all the big drugs, take a look at what their real name is. They always show you the name of the product, but they also show you the real drug name. And most of the time it says Sumpamab, Divilizabilicabamab, right? It all ends up mab. Why mab? Monoclonal antibodies. Most of the things that you're seeing in the advances of treatment for chronic illness have come from monoclonal antibodies. That they have built these therapies on monoclonal antibodies over the last few years. So almost everything is a fucking mab. So if they call it mab, nobody remembers. So they have to come up with everything that sounds like a fucking Toyota from the mid '90s that's part electric, right? Or
Take Corolla and call me in the morning.
Or a degree of heaven in Scientology.
Yeah.
Banazista, this is the level you go to after you remove your thetans, So, but there are rules about, to your point about calling yourself news. If something's an over-the-counter drug, they really don't kind of have to say much. It's over the counter.
Yeah.
They've done the testing. It's kind of fine. Oh, there should be a difference between over-the-counter and prescription news. And the rules should apply. We are, I would argue, over-the-counter news. I'm in a fucking spaceship, and you guys are, you're in your office, and she's in Lonnie's music room, which I'm very jealous of his instruments. They're very beautiful on the other side. Yeah, just fucking fantastic. I want to have Lonnie over sometime.
I have heard Lonnie has great instruments.
Yes.
And also, he plays the guitar.
Look out.
This one, that one right there. He wait, hold on.
The bass?
No, the guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Towards the window. He designed that.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Bitchin'.
That was his design.
That's fantastic.
For those of you who don't know, Lonnie is the guy who when he is on our show, he says,
The politics bar.
Yeah.
Exactly. The politics.
Lonnie's terrific. And I would like to jam with Lonnie at some point. I'll even do it on camera if that's what's necessary in this burned out bird of an ego world. I'll even bring over my first guitar from my first band, which I recently rebuilt after. This is my 1988 Squire Strat, hair metal,
Nice.
Lava, blue and red. I put new pickups in it, active pickups, swapped out all the electronics, and then I put blue strings on it. I don't know if you can see that. But
Very nice.
Yeah. So it's I'll bring that one over. That's the one I'm playing on my album with Johnny Million. So yeah. So I as we near the end of this hour, and I appreciate you guys being on Politics Bar. What's the schedule, by the way? I only know when I'm on because I'm very self-involved.
It is weeknights. It depends on your local affiliate, because we have different radio affiliates starting usually around 6 Eastern. But you can of course download the podcast from your favorite podcast player. You just type in the Politics Bar, or you go to thepoliticsbar.com, and you can get our podcast ad free for $6 a month. Plus, you get the drink of the day. We'll give you a ton of different recipes. Some of them are for alcoholic drinks. Some of them are for non-alcoholic drinks. Depends on the day. And then we send you the News on Tap, which is that thing that we were talking about earlier that Jody and I are still putting together. There it is, politicsbar.com. And the News on Tap is basically, we stand at the fire hose, at the center of the fire hose of news, and gather all of the stuff. And then we put into this nice little concise thing of about 30 little stories. And you go, oh, shit. And you can zip through and read the headlines, or you can actually click in and read deeper into the story. But you should be able to, kind of like when you used to go to the neighborhood bar, and they might have a copy of the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. And they might have a couple of, might have a Rolling Stone or something, and you'd see them there. And as you're waiting for your friends, you'd buzz it. You'd be like, oh, you spend a couple of minutes. And at the same time, when you get done, you're like, oh, shit, I'm a little bit more informed. Yep. As opposed to spending, 5 hours watching cable, quote unquote, news and going, I don't have a fucking clue of what I just saw.
Well, and I think, I think that's great. I think that's what people took for granted with news at 6, and 11, because you had time to think about it, right? There was an element of, it's okay to go, we don't know right now, go watch something else. Go, there is a thing about, I will say, that everybody bitches about the algorithm in social media, and that it's there to keep you dopamine fixated, where you're just like, God damn it, right? Okay. That's not original. That's a reboot of cable news, effectively. Like, how do we keep talking? And I'll give everybody an assignment. I'm sure you guys have noticed this. Whenever you're watching cable news and there's breaking news, when you will hear when a producer in the anchor's ear says, humanize the story. Ask them about what we should expect next. Ask them about where this could possibly go. And because you can see them change gears on a dime, and it's clear it's coming from the IFB. And there's nothing wrong with the anchor might have come to that on their own at some point. And most news people, that's why Lawrence and Rachel don't have one. But anybody who's doing the breaking news part of the day, they're going to have that in their ear, and the producer's going to, almost like the chat room on our shows when you're doing one and something breaks, something, like Charlie Kirk being shot, or the Epstein birthday book finally being released and being, dumped online. That stuff will happen sometimes while you're on the air. And having somebody tell you in your ear when you're on the news is no different than your chat room going, hey, check out CNN right now, something's going on, right? That's fine. I don't have a problem with that, as long as it's in line with what you want and need to do for helping people understand what's going on. Most of the time, they're just trying to hold on to you to the next break.
Right.
And that's that's what the algorithm on social media is based on. Like, don't let them click away. And the most vile version is TikTok, and it is it's built on like passion and rage baiting all the time. Like, it starts with curiosity. It's a soft rage bait. They created it, I would argue, during the 2016 cycle, which is, if you'll notice, a bunch of your cat video Twitter accounts all of a sudden started giving a shit about Hillary Clinton.
Politics.
Right. That's not an accident. Those were the early version of bot accounts. What they do is they get you to follow based on something you like. They troll around areas, around soft edges, and then they radicalize from the side, like, hey, I noticed you like this other thing. I do too. And they drag you into this, like, we should kill some people. Like, that's how it goes. And we have a responsibility, I think, both in the, in the news, whether it's our side of the argument or not, to recognize, all right, okay, I see what they're doing. They're socially manipulating. They're trying to keep me on to the next commercial. They got to sell fucking toilet paper and blah, 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 mab. So I'm fine. But I know what they're doing, so I don't have to emotionally invest myself in what's going on. I can get the information I need, and I don't need any more than that. And I can tune into the Politics Bar or Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide for the charming and fun version of what's going on.
Exactly.
The entertaining
Speaking of which,
version.
we need to go get things ready at the bar.
I know. I got to go let you guys go. Thank you guys for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us on. This is fantastic. You can look at this. We're in the spaceship, Jody.
Yeah, it's a good time.
I love it.
Next time I'll put you in the bunker if you want to feel safer. I've got, we can do that.
I used to be in the bunker. My old show was from the bunker. So
right. I'll make you feel right at home the next time you're on. I'll remember. All right. Thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate it. Have a great day. And don't forget, everybody, check out thepoliticsbar.com.
Thank you so much, Hal.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll see you again soon.
I insist. Okay. Bye. There they go. Ladies and gentlemen, the Politics Bar, Sean and Jody, and the greatest chat room. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. I was holding on to it. Hi, I'm back. I was holding that sneeze for the goodbyes. It was painful. You ever do that when you're trying to God damn it? Okay. I know I would normally finish up right now, but I got to tell you something. I got and normally I don't play videos in the morning, but by the time I have no doubt there'll be other shit going on by the time this afternoon rolls around. So can I show you the most irritating part of the morning? Where they address that they caught Charlie Kirk's shooter by him turning himself in. Okay, so just in case you're just joining us, welcome. Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Venmo is a great way to buy me a cup of coffee and create the show. I don't get any chorus money. I don't get any Soros money. I built this show at, like a race car that's rolling down the track where I have to change the tires myself. So if you feel like helping, please do. Patreon and members of the YouTube channel get a free comedy show at the end of every month. Now, yes, CSL, I know exactly, exactly what I'm talking about. All right. So they finally wheel out Krash Patel, Keystone Krash. And I want you guys to listen to what this dipshit says about, first of all, it's some of the most North Korean bullshit I've ever heard. But just listen and see if you can spot all the areas where this is self-inflated puffery, bullshit boilerplate from the Trump, tough on crime propaganda room, and just flat out lies.
Phone over to the director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
I'm gonna turn the microphone over to Ace Frehley. Shock me! That's what I hear every time someone says I'm going to turn the microphone over to. By the way, I didn't know that yesterday because I didn't give a shit that the governor of Utah, and yesterday he was wearing like a badge T-shirt and all kinds of stuff, trying to blend in with law enforcement. It was just now he's got a suit on like a governor, and just I appreciate what he said about trying to ratchet down the rhetoric and all that kind of stuff, and good for him. Fine. Meet the moment and all that kind of stuff, but don't make it about yourself, and don't act like the rest of the fucking country's on the hook for what some dipshit from northern Utah does.
Thank you, Governor. This is what happens when you let good cops be cops.
Shut the fuck up! No, it isn't, you... Oh my God. This had nothing to do with letting cops be cops. They were already being cops. Nobody was interfering with him, you fucking dipshit. He turned himself in. You couldn't find him with the technology you had. The facial recognition didn't find him because he looks like everybody, and he's too fucking young, and there's not enough pictures of him, and there was just no way to guarantee you were after the right person. You want to trace him, so you put what pictures you had up on fucking social media, and somebody recognized him. Let cops get the fuck out of here. Leave the cops out of this, you valor-stealing prick.
The FBI and our partners are proud to stand here today together to bring justice to the family of Charlie Kirk and honor his memory.
You haven't done that yet. in our pursuit of justice. Yet that's what you get to say. The dude is alleged. And he turned himself in. What if he just lied? What if he was there and helping somebody and that person's on the run? What if there's 3 other people involved, you fucking tit? Pursue justice for the family. That's why these words fucking matter. This is why these assholes don't belong anywhere near any place of real power or real responsibility. Because this asshole talks in tweets.
I want to express my deep gratitude to President Trump, the Vice
Why?
President, and the entire White House, who have been so incredibly supportive with both resources and just personally to the FBI as a team.
Sorry, why? Did you have to go cry on their fucking shoulder? What the fuck did they have to do with anything? What did they do? Yell at the right people? Did they have to? Sorry, did the Utah Public Safety Commissioner and the fucking cops in Utah have to get an earful from Trump to give a shit? Do you have to call him up and go, I'm upset. I'm really trying to do a good job, Mr. President, but I'm very... What? And he was like, it's going to be okay, Cash. It's totally good. Just, I'll tap you on the head when I'm about to blow.
They had our backs the entire way.
What do you mean they had your backs? What do you think people are going to attack you for trying to track down a political assassin who was on the run? Normally, there'd be a lot of red tape. Get the fuck out of here.
And I just want to express my gratitude for giving us the resources we need to operate in this space to bring...
Congress does that, you fucking moron. Operate in this space. This is, first of all, this is a local murder. There might be federal charges in this, but you didn't know this. Half the reason you were there was because the dude that got shot was a friend of the president's. That's why the FBI was there. This is a state murder trial. That's what this will be. Resources in this arena. Shut the
bring
fuck
this
up.
sort of justice at this sort of speed.
At this sort of speed. What do you think? You think everybody in the FBI was dragging their feet trying to find the guy that fucking killed the Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota?
In 33 hours, we have made historic progress.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't. He turned himself in. You didn't make any fucking progress. You released the pictures because you weren't making progress. You released the pictures because you couldn't fucking find the guy. You had to enlist the help of the public.
For Charlie. Governor Cox, our partnership has been absolutely incredible these last few days.
What was he going to do? Trip you in and out of the door? The way these fuckers will crow about the baseline it's fucking embarrassing.
Our partnership will endure.
And by the way, of course it'll endure. You're the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He might need your help again sometime soon. That's how crime works, dumb fuck.
Your state and local...
I fucking hate this dude. This is such a fucking travesty. My apologies as a citizen go out to everybody working at the FBI who has to stare at a picture of this dumb fuck every day when they go to work, when all they know is that he's a glory hound and an impediment to the hard work these people are trying to do.
Local partners, your sheriffs, your DPS community has been unbelievably impressive in the hardest of times.
Why the hardest of times? Because he was your friend? It's not the hardest of times when another citizen gets their fucking life taken? That's the hardest of times? Sorry, did everybody who was watching suddenly clam up and refuse to give their phones? Did the school tell you to go fuck yourself? We can't give you access to our cameras or some shit like that? Where was it hard at all? Besides just the reality of finding a single shooter, which is the same every fucking time something awful like this happens.
And a case like this cannot be solved, cannot be brought without partnering with your state and local authorities.
Yeah, legally, that's how the FBI works, shithead. You're there at their request.
The FBI has a certain role to play, and we will play that role, and we will lead out for the federal government. But Governor Cox, we are so grateful for your...
He is, yes. Yeah, Governor Cox, he is so granderful I agree. Nobody's more granterful.
that role, and we will lead out for the federal government. But Governor Cox, we are so grateful for your state partnership.
We will lead out for the federal government, but we are so granterful for your support. This is when is this what dumb fucks do when they think their mouth has autofill built in?
That led out on this investigation. A little bit of the timeline. Charlie was shot at 12:23 p.m. on Wednesday. The first FBI agents arrived on scene in 16 minutes with chiefs of police at 12:39 and secured the scene.
Did they come from D.C.? No. The Provo or West Utah office. The cops did it. The police showed up and did it. They secured the scene.
The FBI
Also, after the stampede.
immediately launched fixed-wing assets.
Fixed wing assets. We got airplanes in the air. We scrambled the fighters. Fixed wing assets in the air.
Utilize these assets to transport personnel, specialty technicians, hostage rescue teams. We also utilize these assets to go back and forth from the East Coast and here in Utah to
Yes, I'm fairly certain you're not going to take a train and that nobody drove to fucking Utah from D.C. Fixed wing assets. Sorry, is that weird? What under Biden everybody fucking walked? Fuck this dude.
transport forensic evidence and other evidence that will be analyzed and is being analyzed at our FBI laboratories in Quantico.
Oh, you mean the place you want to fucking shut down? The place you said what you turn into a museum of the deep state?
And other laboratories, including the ATF.
The other organization that all maggots think should go away, the ATF.
Direction, the FBI released the first set of FBI photos of the suspect at 10 a.m.
The next day.
Local time on 9/11. Then, shortly thereafter, the FBI reward of $100,000 was released at 10:45 a.m. local.
Damn, 45 minutes after the pictures, bam comes the money. Sorry, did Trump write a personal check and you had a hard time finding his checkbook?
Myself and Deputy Director Bongino arrived on the scene at approximately 5:30 p.m.
The next day. More than 24 hours later.
On 9/11.
Yeah. He was killed on 9/10. Vance was there. Why the fuck, nobody knows.
The governor led a press conference last night.
Yeah, we know.
At approximately 8 p.m.
They had other ones too. On the 10th. And early on the 11th. You weren't there.
Where at my direction, the FBI released a never-before-seen video of the suspect. We also released...
Yeah, in the clearance window. Is that really him? Are we sure it's him? Is this real? Is it good? Is this quality? Is this the best quality we can get? Can we enhance it in any way? Yeah, that takes some time. Okay, as soon as it's out, since the pictures are out, we're going to send this out to prove that this is the guy we're looking for and that maybe he was limping afterwards. You can read into that. Why? Sorry. After you've already failed to find him using normal techniques and you're in such a bumfuck hurry, you decide to release all the pictures to hope the public will find him. So you want extra points for releasing grainy video of him from far away? Jumping off a fucking roof? Yeah, exactly. CSL, like, fucking... Kash Patel thinks he's Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive. Get the fuck out of here.
New images to the public of the suspect.
Yeah, Shazam, motherfucker.
And just last night, the suspect was taken into custody at 10 p.m. local time.
No. The suspect surrendered to officers, to the U.S. Marshals himself. His fucking dad and his minister drove him there. You didn't kick down a fucking door like Don Jr. likes to say. You didn't fucking round up the usual suspects and go through fucking mug books and go, that's him. He disguised himself with a fucking curly Q mustache, but I'd say I'd recognize him anywhere.
In less than 36 hours.
He turned himself in because his preacher saw his picture on the news.
33 to be precise.
Yeah, 33 hours. Yeah, and not he didn't turn himself in 34 hours or 30, even 32. You didn't catch him, you dumb motherfucker. If he hadn't turned himself in, if he'd have told his fucking minister, if minister called his dad and his dad's like, I don't know where he is. If he'd have just driven to fucking Mexico, that'd be it. Where the fuck is he? He turned himself in.
To the full weight of the federal government and leading out with the partners here in the state of Utah.
Wait a minute. The full weight of the federal government?
In less than 36 hours. 33 to be precise. Thanks to the full weight of the federal government and leading out with the partners here in the state of Utah and Governor.
No. Thanks to a photograph on television that a preacher saw and went, oh shit, that's Tyler. I'm calling his dad. I think your son might be the shooter. We both know Gary. He's in the fucking marshals. We got to bring him in or he's going to get killed. Full weight. The fuck out of here.
The suspect was apprehended in a historic time period.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't apprehended. He was not apprehended. He turned himself in.
And I want to highlight what Governor Cox said. This would not have been possible without you, the media.
Right. Because somebody saw his picture on TV and called his dad.
And you, the public.
Right. Because his dad and the preacher are part of the public.
That's why we went so public, so fast, and we're so transparent, and we're committed to that.
Transparent? Sorry, what the fuck does transparency have to do with sharing evidence in an attempt to catch somebody? Why is that transparency? You want to be transparent? Tell everybody he turned himself in, you transparent piece of shit. You are transparent because we can see right through you.
Transparency. The crime scene, just a little bit there. It is a large crime scene.
No shit. It's an amphitheater rooftop in the stage.
State and local authorities, along with federal authorities, process that crime scene quickly.
Yeah, you don't get points for processing it quickly. You get points for processing it thoroughly.
And I even had the...
Oh no. This part. Make sure you find the right word, Krash.
Ability to walk through that crime scene and walk through the steps the suspect took.
Good for fucking you. Could you smell his cologne? Did you go, oh fuck, he went east. And you and a dozen other fucking people. What? How do we know the footprint they found wasn't yours? Fucking, what are you talking about? I went down there, got my eyes on it. You know, Kamala Harris never went to the border, even though she was the border czar. I'm the crime czar, so I go down there, I look at, picked up some of the gravel on the roof, licked the shell casings. The poison is fresh. 3 days, they are following us.
To learn more about what was needed and what resources we need to bear to create a full picture.
Sorry, what you need to, what? Something about a rabbit thrown into a patch of thorns?
To learn more about what was needed and what resources we need to bear. To
bring to bear? Fuck that. Just say Brer. Hashtag Brer. Yeah. What are you, a fucking donkey? Brer. What were you going to learn there, dipshit? You never were a case agent. Get the fuck out of there. This is the dude he insisted on getting a badge. Yeah, Kash Patel, super FBI guy flying in on a fixed wing craft.
Create a full picture for the FBI and leadership back in Washington.
Create a full picture. Was there gravel on the roof? Yeah, there's gravel on the roof. Yeah. Were you pretty sure that's where he was? Yeah, he was pretty sure that's where he was. I heard they got a foot imprint. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a foot imprint. It might have been his or mine. I don't know. You could totally see where Charlie was shot from where I was standing. And then I went down to where Charlie was shot, and you could totally see where the guy was laying from where I was standing. Awesome. You paint such a colorful picture.
Furthermore, thankfully to state and local partners, forensic evidence has been seized and
As opposed to what? Fondled?
continues to be garnered. Forensic evidence is all.
Oh, it's being seized and garnered. I see. Let me write that down. Seized and garnered, asshole. And what was your name again?
Already been evaluated at FBI laboratories in Quantico and state and local authorities here.
Yeah, we know. And also places, the FBI in particular, that you wanted to shut down, to defund, to decapitate the leadership.
Will continue to process evidence
CSL, I think you would have been fantastic, my friend.
as we see it, as we collect it, and we will continue to deliver to Governor Cox and his team.
As opposed to what? The Biden team used to hoard evidence, and then they would roast marshmallows on a bonfire of evidence and never show anybody, but we're...
Last night, we had a total of approximately 7,000 interviews, 7,000 leads.
That's why my throat is a little hoarse.
As of this morning, thanks to your great work, we have over 11,000 leads that were called in to the FBI. And we are running out every single lead that we can.
So this is the guy, though.
Every one of those leads will be run out.
Run down. Run down. You don't run out a lead, you run down a lead. This is the kind of language this asshole would know if he had any fucking experience in actual investigation.
The arrest is a testament to the dedication of good law enforcement being great.
And it's a testament to that guy's church that when the minister calls, the dad answers. And when the dad talks to his son with the minister in the circle, they are moved to turn his fucking kid in, even though he's going to get the death penalty. For real. Like, the applause goes to that fucking minister and their church. They want to give this kid the death penalty, and the dad and the minister brought him in.
And partnerships in law enforcement, which I've tried to highlight as my tenure as the director of the FBI.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. It was. I almost forgot it was all about you. Fucking tit.
There is no better relationship for law enforcement than the FBI to partner with state and local authorities, and you've seen it here in these last few days.
Sorry, we haven't seen it in every other situation where it's resulted in an arrest, or even seen it in areas where it didn't result in an arrest, but they built a case over time until they could finally close the deal. As a matter of fact, a lot of us, you ever watch FBI files? You ever watch cold case files? It's because of work done by the FBI decades ago, you dumb son of a bitch. Ugh.
The FBI Salt Lake field office, along with our offices in LA, Phoenix, Denver, San Antonio, Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, our headquarters component in Quantico, all participate in the FBI. I want to express my deep gratitude.
Really? That's weird. So the FBI field offices all participate in the FBI. That's fascinating. I'm going to write that one down too. That's right. All the FBI offices participate. That's the word? Participate in the FBI. That's strange. I don't know. What was your name again, asshole? Okay.
Gratitude to the employees of the FBI.
The ones that you fire without cause and threaten all the time with loyalty tests and have no idea what they actually fucking do day to day.
Men and women, the evidence response team tacticians, the special operators, the agents, the support staff.
You mean the people that maggots constantly vilify, undermine, threaten? So I guess this would be a good time as any to apologize to everybody in the Cincinnati field office for all the shit Trump has dumped on the FBI.
You have done monumental work in historic time when the public...
No, I'm sure they were doing great work on the time scale and with the evidence that they have made available to them. They were doing the best they could. The reality is, the winner in this is that guy's church. Sorry. It became a moral anchor heavy enough for a father to turn in his son and the son to say, yes, I'm going in after knowing they're going to charge him with a capital crime.
Who had a right to demand such an expeditious solving of an investigation.
Oh, God. Run that by me again.
Monumental work in historic time when the public, who had a right to demand such an expeditious solving of an investigation, the FBI answered that call.
Oh, my God. Shut the fuck up, dude. We always expect that. That's the baseline. It's why I believe you show respect to law enforcement as a basic behavior, shitheel. Because they actually do the work. See that guy in the fucked up hat right there, the Utah dude right there? That dude has walked up to, in his career, I guarantee, hundreds of doors, car doors, house doors, that could very well have a gun on the other side that could end his fucking life. And he still has to knock and serve a warrant and do all the shit that you have to do and ask somebody why they're speeding, why their tags aren't on their fucking car, and why their windows are blacked out, and bang, bang, bang. Every fucking day. And Kash Patel has never done any of that. And he never will. He'll never be anywhere near the danger. He'll have a little fucking badge he gets to carry around with him. So he looks like the supervising specialty agent. But he's not. It's fucking gross. I feel bad for all the law enforcement people who have been busting their hump, doing normal law and order stuff every fucking day, and this dipshit wings in and goes, look at the great job we did. Oh. Fuck you.
Diligently, critically important to our nation, and we delivered. And I'm proud to be their leader, and I'm proud to be the director of the FBI.
Jesus Christ. You did nothing. You have, because of your job, you have a rubber stamp. And you do not have a decision about when that rubber stamp gets used. We're going to release these pictures? Or everybody, yeah? Thunk. That's what happened. We're going to release this video. Can we release the video? We can? Thunk. Release the video. We can. Okay, we should. And as we've all agreed, everybody thought that, yeah, thunk. That's what he fucking did.
This is a very much an ongoing investigation.
This say that again.
Proud to be the director of the FBI. This is a very much an ongoing investigation.
This is a very much is an ongoing investigation. No shit. So we're canceling the lynching, I guess.
And as the governor said, and we will continue to work with state and local authorities to develop the investigation, to provide them the evidence they need.
Develop the investigation.
For their ongoing prosecutions, and we will be here to answer every call they absolutely have, as long as it takes.
Every call they absolutely have? Absolutely every call they have? Just every fucking call. What are you going to do? What does anybody think you're going to do? Is it fucking Utah again? Click.
For as long as we need to find and apprehend whatever suspects were involved in this crime.
It's find.
Lastly.
Thank fucking Jesus.
To my friend Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. English, motherfucker. Do you speak it? Right.
Rest now, brother. We have the watch. And I'll see you in Valhalla.
God damn. We have the watch. Just a bunch of fucking machismo horseshit. Valhalla. You do realize, fuckwad, that they have been like eulogizing him as one of the premier born-again Christians in the fucking country right now. Valhalla. By the way, hold on. Hold on. Where is it? Valhalla's, let's see. hold on. I gotta. So. There is a map of this. Okay, open it. There's a Valhalla. Yeah, there's a Valhalla, Utah. Yeah, there it is. Valhalla Plus is a wellness center that's in the area. Valhalla, let's see, Pleasant Grove there, near Timber Lakes in like the mountains. It's called Valhalla. See, in the mountains here in Utah. Oh, by the way, he forgot something. Okay, by the way, all due respect to this cop, he's just going to do his job. And I got no problem with what he's dealing with. He's dealing with public safety, all that kind of shit. He goes through that. And then somebody got a fucking phone call or a text on his phone. And over here, Patel is whispering to the governor that he needs to say one more thing. What do you think that's going to be? You think it's going to be a new piece of information? Excuse me. Damn it. All right. It's coming again. Usually they come in threes. I usually sneeze in threes. Okay. Oh, yeah. Roy knows. Oh, yeah. Not a message, CSL. Sorry, it went by really fast. Not a message from Trump. A message about. Check this shit out.
Thank you.
I also want to give a special thanks
It's going to be Pam Bondi.
to the Attorney General and the Department of Justice. Their unwavering support and their commitment to justice is shown true here.
Why? How? What are you talking about? Again, this is the least we should expect, you fucking moron.
And without AG Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and the resources
Sorry, Deputy Attorney what?
is shown true here. And without AG Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and
Deputy Attorney General?
the resources they brought to bear, we
wouldn't have Ghislaine Maxwell in a cushy Club Fed right now with a swimming pool and yoga classes and puppies.
not have been able to complete our mission.
Why? What? No. If they ran interference like they're doing with the Epstein files, maybe if they did with this case, what they're doing with the Epstein files, you wouldn't be able to do your job. But this is literally the gig. They literally can't stop you. At the request of the state for resources on a political assassination, they can't stop you. They don't get fucking points. Also, where the fuck is Bongholio?
And I just want to say
He's burying the fucking Epstein files in Wichita.
special thanks. It's an honor to be a part of the Department of Justice.
Ugh. I gotta tell you, like watching that, these fucking climbers and comers just fucking trying to jump on top of the fact that this dude turned himself in as if they were, they fucking swung through a window like Batman, and then to like pat themselves on the back for doing the baseline job that everybody expects for everyone. By the way, no one expects them to drop the ball or go easy when looking for the killer of Charlie Kirk. It's of no surprise to anyone that they doubled down and gave every resource. The idea that Pam Bondi would drag her feet at all, it's an ally of the president. He ordered the fucking flags lowered. Of course you're getting everything you fucking need. Which, by the way, should make everybody who's the FBI's been looking for their missing child or a kidnapped relative or fucking trying to hunt down a child predator that victimized a member of their family or ran guns that ended up killing their loved one. Their resources dry up all the time. So I'm sure they're watching this just with tears in their eyes and just applauding nonstop. Oh, thank God that Pam Bondi made herself, got up off of her fucking chair, put down the bonbons for a second, and gave all the resources to hunt down the killer of someone who very well may have delivered Arizona for the president. Meanwhile, everybody else, all the other cases the FBI is working their ass off on all the time. Like, you guys can fucking hang. We're going after, Trump's favorite case. You don't get points. They should do that. They should give every resource. They should be going after this. It should be viewed as serious. But you don't get points for doing that. To quote Chris, the immortal Chris Rock, what, do you want a cookie? All right, I went over today because I wanted to cover that piece, and so that'll be a little slice of something we put up later on. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. It's Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. I did this during the morning, but people watching the clip of this won't know. Venmo to support the show, like and subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I'm just going to go fume because fuck Kash Patel and his valor-stealing horse shit. And salute to all the FBI and local law enforcement who get up every day, put their lives on the line in a way that he will never understand.
The screen glows bright with a crooked smile.
What an asshole.
We're still out.
Thank you guys so much. Twitch people, let me see some emotes.
Venom, no style.
Do it.
Promises made.
Subscribe.
Rot in the air.
God damn it.
A handshake, a lie, a blank, cold stare.
Bullshit! Bullshit! Bullshit!